when you're not in touch with your body and you're not able to listen to your body because you've just been taught not to, then you have a hard time taking care of yourself. It's important to consider your belief systems. If you're not ready to really look at your belief systems and your operating systems, that like the beliefs that you're operating under, you just really are going to struggle to stick to a fitness and wellness plan, and you're also going to struggle just to be happy with yourself regardless of whether you make progress or not. Welcome to the Coaching Corner podcast. My name is Jade Harrison, aka Jaydigains. I'm a personal trainer and content creator, and I have created this podcast so that I can share tips to help you make gains and stay consistent on your fitness journey. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the role that your self-esteem and your self-worth play in your ability to make gains and stay consistent and ultimately enjoy your gains in your fitness journey. So if you struggle with your self-worth, this episode is a good one to give a listen to. I also give some tips on things that you can do to help develop more self-worth and self-esteem and ultimately be able to reach your goals in the gym and actually enjoy the gains that you make. This episode was recorded while I was live on my Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Jaydigains. If you would like to join me live and ask questions, give me a follow there. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. So I haven't been super active on social media because I've been going back to the drawing board and trying to just refine what it is that I'm going to be offering in my online business rather than just trying to be a generic online personal trainer. I've been in conversation with my clients and the impact that they say I've had on them. And here's what I'm thinking so far is my strength and what sets me apart as a coach is my emphasis on the psychological side of things, like the psychology. Because I am trying to make this online coaching thing work. I've noticed, there's many fucking things that get in the way and keep people from being able to stick to their programs. I know that my programs work, okay? I have lots of examples of success of people losing a bunch of weight, building a bunch of muscle. I know that when someone follows my programs, what I've written for them, they reach their goals. So the programs themselves are good. My programming is good. Where I get hung up in my business and where I get hung up with my clients and why not all of my clients experience that level of success is that they have various reasons why they're not able to stick to their program. And that's been the main frustration of my business. That's been the main frustration for my clients is it's been difficult to identify why is it that these people cannot stick? Why is it that people have a hard time sticking to their program? So I've been thinking about that a lot. And I think I have developed some ideas around that, just having conversations with people about that. So ultimately, I think why so many people in the Western world, in particular in the United States, which is where most of my clients are, the reason why they're overweight and they have a hard time moving and eating better and eating healthy in the first place is because our society that we've grown up in. On the one hand, so many of us are basically taught from very young age, either in the household or at school, that our needs don't matter. And we learn to dissociate from our bodies and not listen to our bodies. And in many cases, many of us, especially if you're neurodivergent, if you have ADHD or if you have autism, or if you had shit going on at home, where you were taught at some point to mask or to not listen to what your body's saying that it needs. So we have a lot of people walking around just, have this ability to completely dissociate from their bodies. And when you're not in touch with your body, and you're not able to listen to your body because you've just been taught not to, then you have a hard time taking care of yourself. It starts as early as you have to ask the teacher to go to the bathroom when you have to go to the bathroom, and they're not always going to say yes. And so you learn how to just sit with the feeling of having to pee. and then you're not going to the bathroom, right? Or it starts in the home, trigger warning. You have like a parent who is mean to you and who, or they just are neglectful, and you have needs that your caretaker is not meeting, and you learn how to like suppress your needs or to just try to have less needs. And so you dissociate from your body and from your own needs in that way. We're taught to hate ourselves as well, regardless of whether you had a happy home life growing up or not. Like a lot of what our economy is based off of is like creating a problem that probably didn't exist before so that they can sell the solution. That's what the beauty industry is all built on. Give people crippling like anxiety around what they look like and make them obsess over how skinny they are or how fat they are or the shape of their face or, the texture of their hair. Get people to see themselves as a problem so that they buy all of these solutions. And that's what keeps the economy strong, right? So like messaging from magazines, like when I was younger, magazines that taught us, as little girls, like beauty routines and stuff. And like we were like taught to hate our bodies and to be ashamed of our bodies and to starve our bodies. So there's a lot that we're just kind of raised with that make us hate ourselves. And it's not like, that's not a bug in the system. That's a feature, right? It's literally built into it. And it goes as deep. I mean, it's in every single level of everything that we do as individuals and as a society, including the major religions, right? I grew up in a very fundamentalist understanding of Christianity. And according to that philosophy, every single person is inherently sinful and flawed and deserves to burn in hell for an eternity. But Jesus came down and saved you. He died for your sins. But like, that's like a gloss over of the fact that it's like that you're taught a worldview of yourself, that your body, that you as a person, no matter how hard you try to be good and kind and empathetic, is you're inherently sinful and you deserve to be tortured for eternity, right? So it's like on so many different levels, we're taught to hate ourselves. And so, of course, people have trouble eating healthy. Of course, people have trouble just like taking care of their bodies, like getting up and moving throughout the day or going to the gym, and getting strong. Like, because you believe that you don't deserve to be taken care of. And like being in that state of mind is what makes it so easy to sell you stuff, Being in that state of mind is what keeps you showing up to that job. Got to keep making money so that you can keep buying these things to make you feel a little bit better and give you a little bit of relief from the self-hate that we have taught you, Our society is very, very, very much built on cultivating shame in individuals and putting a lot of like onus on the individual to like hate themselves, And so ultimately, that's what it comes down to for me as a coach. And that's why I see so many people struggle when they work with me. They want to like start working out. They want to start eating healthy, but they struggle just to do the very basic things of like going for a walk every day for just 10 minutes. It's just 10 minutes. But people struggle to do that. They struggle to prioritize time to take care of themselves because on some level, they don't think that they deserve to be taken care of. On some level, they don't believe that they deserve to be happy with their bodies. Because when were you, can you think of a time ever in your life that you were actually happy with your body? Or that you didn't like obsessively look at yourself and pick apart all the things that you don't like? There's a reason why we all struggle like with anxiety when we look in the mirror. That's why body dysmorphia is such like a constant in our culture. It's a feature, not a bug, In some ways, we've been groomed to think the way that we think, not for our own benefit, but for someone else's. Got to keep the economy running, right? Because that's what this country is all about. So honestly, I think that if you hate yourself, you're going to have a hard time taking care of yourself. It doesn't matter if you hire a personal trainer. It doesn't matter if you hire a nutritionist. If you hate yourself and you don't do anything to try to deconstruct that self-image, that negative self-image that you've cultivated over a lifetime, it's just you're gonna have a hard time getting anything to stick. And then once again, here comes our like hyper-individualism that we have in this culture, and you're gonna like, oh, why can't I stick to this? And then shame yourself even more because you're having trouble sticking to the plan, right? And then you're having trouble making any progress. And so then you like hate yourself even more, and then it makes it even harder for you to take care of yourself. Like I've just seen so many clients struggle with that cycle. It's hard because as a personal trainer, it's like there's only so much I can do, you know? How do I deconstruct patriarchy? How do I deconstruct capitalism in my clients so that they can make gains? Because ultimately, that's kind of what needs to happen. For the clients who I've seen struggle the most, that's what needs to happen. But deconstruction is not really within the realm or scope of a personal trainer's job, right? Maybe a life coach, maybe a therapist, but there's very little that I can do on that front with personal training. But I do actually believe that that's the number one hurdle for my clients. It's the number one hurdle. It's negative self-image, shame, internalized capitalism, because capitalism also places so much emphasis on a person's like value and their productivity that like if you struggle, you feel like you don't, like you have no worth as a person. Like people like feel like their worth as a person is tied to the number on the scale, right? Or the arbitrary number of like size clothing that they wear. So it takes a lot of deconstruction if that's like a hurdle for you. And I want to be able to help people overcome that hurdle. If someone hates themselves, they've internalized many, many cultural beliefs that just teach them to hate themselves. And until that is addressed, they're going to have a hard time making progress and making use of the coaching programs that I create and making use of the nutrition coaching that I provide. As long as they hate themselves, as long as they're still operating on these very toxic belief systems, they might, it happens. It still happens. You see people who are able to like achieve a lot of progress while still hating themselves, but they're not happier, right? By the end of the program, by the, a year or two later, they still hate themselves. They're not actually that much happier. So what's the fucking point, The main reason why people hire a personal trainer is because they want to feel better about themselves. They want to be happier. They want to love their bodies more. And a lot of that is not going to come down to like just an exercise plan or a nutrition plan, especially if you're not able to stick to it. It's important to consider your belief systems. And a lot of people are just like really not ready to question their belief systems. If you're not ready to really look at your belief systems and your operating systems, that like the beliefs that you're operating under, you just really are going to struggle to stick to a fitness and wellness plan. And you're also going to struggle just to be happy with yourself, regardless of whether you make progress or not. So from my limited scope as just, a personal trainer, all I can say and what I can recommend is, cognitive behavioral therapy is awesome. Seeking out therapy, working with a therapist can be very, very helpful, but especially cognitive behavioral therapy, I'm a big fan of. Also EMDR, if you have any kind of PTSD. Learn how to listen to your body and be present in your body. Cultivate a practice of mindfulness. Really prioritize cultivating self-love. Also, I would highly encourage everybody to do shadow work. Shadow work is the practice of examining the things that subconsciously drive your behavior and your thoughts and how you see yourself and how you see the world. Your shadow is basically it's basically the rug that you tend to sweep under all the things about yourself that you don't like to think about, or things that like you don't even realize are a part of you. But they drive your behavior, they impact your behavior, they impact how you see the world, they impact your happiness and your ability to love yourself. So shadow work is really, really important. You can do shadow work in the context of therapy, or you can do it solo. I actually just ordered a shadow work journal for my parents, and we'll see what they do with that. But a little while ago, my dad was talking about how he's been struggling with his mental health lately, and he seemed really receptive to listening to the things that I've learned through shadow work about meeting and taking care of your inner child, and doing that work of examining your subconscious belief systems and bringing them to the conscious. So I've done the shadow work journal before. They've updated it. I'm going to order a new one for myself. The one that I ordered last year and that I sent to Pagro and I sent to Mal and a couple of other people, they've added a lot more content to it. Let me give you guys a link to it. So I'm going to order another one. And so here's also what I'm thinking of doing. Because shadow work, therapy, all of these things are so important, and I think that they are a foundation to actually making progress in your fitness, but also being happy with the results and actually achieving what you're after, which is I want to actually be okay with myself. I want to actually like myself. Moving forward, I want to change how I've been showing up online in my social media and also in my email list. Yes, I'm going to continue to create training programs. Yes, I'm going to continue to create nutrition programs. And I'm going to continue to offer personal training and coaching and nutrition coaching. But in this next chapter of my business, I'm going to put a lot of focus on creating content around the interplay between mental health and your fitness. And I'm going to start a series of discussions on different aspects and different strategies of improving mental health and how they directly apply to fitness and are impacted by fitness. I've already started a couple of writing prompts for myself, and I'm going to be sending them to my email list and posting about them on my TikTok and other social media. But basically, we're going to take a look at the different kind of questions that, a therapist would ask, or that the shadow work journal asks. And we're going to take a look at how I'm going to talk about how I have seen those questions play out with my clients in the context of their fitness journeys and their just personal growth journeys. And so we're going to go over all kinds of things about what is the type of mindset that you need to have in order to make progress in your fitness. But I'm not just going to tell you this is what you need to have. I'm going to give some suggestions about how you can cultivate those parts of that mindset. And there's going to be a direct link back to and suggestion back to, find a therapist, get the shadow work journal, and I want to point you towards other resources to take these things a step further. But I do want to just kind of introduce people to the world of mental health in the context of if you want to improve your fitness, you need to take care of your mental health. I'm going to give you a little baby example of how to do that, but take it further, and here's how. So I am not a therapist. I would love to be a therapist, and I'm thinking about going back and studying cognitive behavioral therapy and getting licensed. But what I can do as a coach is kind of point you in the direction. So we're going to talk about how to develop a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Fixed mindset is the mindset where you believe that your traits or your skills, your abilities are fixed. You just are how you are and it's never going to change. Versus a growth mindset, which says, I can actually change and develop these things about myself by working on them, by considering them, by doing shadow work, by working with a therapist, by doing different types of therapy. I can grow and I can change things about myself, or I can grow to accept and work around things about myself. You're not stuck how you are, right? And that's the kind of limiting belief that a lot of people have about themselves. They're just stuck. You're not stuck. You're limiting yourself. And it's not all your fault because we grew up in this society that kind of teaches you to think that way, right? So how to get unstuck and how to cultivate a growth mindset. That's one thing that we're going to talk about. Learning how to listen to your body, right? Kind of getting away from that dissociative state where you're, like we talked about before, that example of even in the classroom, you were taught to hold your pee or hold having to go to the bathroom. You couldn't go to the bathroom because you had to wait until the teacher said so. And there's all these little ways that we're taught to not listen to our bodies and try to take our attention out of our bodies and not listen to our bodies. And that ultimately feeds into our inability to take care of our bodies later in life when we're adults and we're in charge of our own schedules and everything. Cultivating mindfulness, cultivating being able to be present in your body, listen to your body, love your body, nurture your body, nurture yourself. How to become resilient to failure, change your relationship with failure. A lot of people are terrified of failure, and that terror of failure holds them back from so much in their life, including making gains in the gym or even starting the journey of taking care of themselves. Fear of failure and how to approach failure and how to embrace failure and see failure as something that's good. Failure is a launch pad. Failure is, where we learn, where we get data, and where we can grow from. How to set boundaries for your fitness, but also just for yourself. One of the things a lot of us have trouble with is boundaries. Setting boundaries on ourselves, setting boundaries on other people around what we want, and standing up for ourselves and standing up for what we want. A lot of us are kind of trained to not do that. So how to set boundaries, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the difference between having a reactive mindset versus a responsive mindset. Instead of being reactive and just constantly trying to escape something, you're actually going to learn how to move toward a goal. How to de-shame your fitness, how to approach shame and develop a better relationship with it so that it's not ruling your life and sabotaging your ability to stick to your training program. So a lot of this stuff is similar to a lot of that coaching advice that you'll get from business coaches or self-help, but we're going to look at it specifically in the context of how it impacts your ability to stick to your fitness programs or to your fitness plan or to your ability to eat healthy and your ability to show up for your workouts or just your basic activity routine. So I created a list of 50 writing prompts that I'm going to be discussing with you guys here on Twitch and on my other socials, and then also on my email list, just so that we can all just cultivate a better mindset so that no matter where you are in your fitness journey, whether you are getting ready for a powerlifting competition or you're just struggling to take basic care of yourself and eat vegetables and eat enough protein and go for a walk or just get more active, no matter what level you are on, mindset is always applicable. It's always helpful to think about your mindset towards yourself and towards your fitness. That's a long-winded way to say that's a way that I can talk to everybody in a way that is helpful for everybody, but also kind of can generate, help me to grow basically on social media, because there's not a lot of people who in the fitness spaces on social media that are talking about these things. And that is something I'm excited to talk about. That's something that I actually am excited to make content around, rather than the generic, how much cardio should you be doing, how, to warm up for your workouts. All of those are important messages, and I'm going to continue making them, and I'm going to continue making content on those things, how to actually do the fitness thing. But I'm super excited about this marketing and messaging around how to think about your fitness and how to think about yourself in a way that ultimately feel better about yourself, regardless of how many pounds you lose, regardless of how much you can lift, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing is how do you feel about yourself? Inner gains and outer gains. Exactly. In this reflecting time, what I found is that is why those of you who are sort of my diehard community members, many of you, I think, who have really identified with my streams is because of the mental health talks that we have. Because there's 1,000,001 fitness streamers and there's 1,000,001 personal trainers. There's tons of people online who could give generic fitness advice. You can just Google how many steps a day should I walk. You can Google how often should I change my workouts? You know what I mean? And I think it's good to talk about those things. I still need to create that content for my clients and, for people who want it. But I think what makes this community so special, And I think what sets me, and this is what my clients have told me when I've like talked to them about it, what makes them love working with me is that we, in my individual coaching, but also in my streams, we go deeper to like the underneath, like what is at the root of your behaviors and what's at the root of your difficulty in doing the things that we talk about. So I don't want to be like, here, just do this. If you're struggling to just do this, I want to get to the bottom of like, well, why? Why are you struggling with this? And I just want to offer some of like the insight that I've gotten from teaching for 10 years and also from my own deconstruction journey and how I've grown to see like how much shame and self-hate held me back in my own, and still do to this day. Many of my like episodes where I struggle to take care of myself and where I self-neglect, which expresses itself in my inability to eat consistently, right? I self-neglect through starvation, and that is how my trauma has manifested. It doesn't help that I'm ADHD and I hyperfocus on stuff too, so I'll dissociate through hyperfixation too. But like that has a direct effect on my gains, you know? And so I'm trying to get a 300-pound deadlift by the end of the year, okay? For myself, this is an example of what I'm talking about. I'm trying to get a 300-pound deadlift. I really want it. But in order to get there, I have to grow some more muscle. Like I need to build bigger glutes and quads. I need bigger legs, and I need to be able to hold that weight. So I need to build muscle. And I have struggled to build muscle over the last few years because my personal manifestation of self-abandonment is not eating the amount that I need to eat in order to build that muscle. That's been a blind spot in my own like personal self-care, right? So now using like cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, I'm working with myself to try and make sure that I'm keeping myself fed and prioritizing it in my schedule and really making it something that I put a lot of importance on. And I'm trying to journal and learn like what my triggers are so that I can eat more, so that I can build more muscle, so that I can reach my fitness goals. But when I learn how to like take better care of myself and, you know, using these cognitive behavioral therapy techniques and learning how to feed myself more consistently, it's not just my gains that are going to benefit from that. My whole life is going to benefit from that because that mindset of like, I deserve to be taken care of, you know, and really trying to deconstruct the things that are blocking me from taking care of myself, everything else is going to benefit. So it's worthwhile. And I think that's why a lot of people say, like when they go on a fitness journey, I think it's something that a lot of people like subconsciously do is like they're on a personal growth journey at the same time. But what I want to do, which is like the essence of shadow work, is I want to make that unconscious part, the personal growth side of things that happens and needs to happen if you want to be successful in your fitness journey. And if you want to be happy with the results, I want to bring that conscious. I want us to be very conscious of what kinds of things we need to do, what kinds of mindsets we need to attack, what kinds of mindsets we need to cultivate in order to maximize our gains and also just like, you know, reach the ultimate gains, which is like I'm happier with myself. I'm really going to be leaning into that a lot more in the podcast and on social media and here on stream moving forward. And I feel really good about it. What do you guys think? Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Coaching Corner podcast. Again, I'm Jade Harrison, aka Jaydigains. If you would like to join me while I'm live on my Twitch channel, give me a follow at twitch.tv/Jaydigains. That's JAYDIGAINS. You can also go to my website, jaydigains.com, to find more resources on how to start or stay consistent on your fitness journey. And I'll see you in the next episode. In the meantime, make sure that you drink some water, eat your veggies, eat your protein, and take care of yourself. And I'll see you soon.